I'd like to call a meeting to order. Councilwoman Brannigan, would you lead us in the invocation?
If you'd like to join us in prayer, please stand. Let us bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we come to you today to ask your blessing upon this meeting. We ask that you be with all of us up here, that we make decisions with our hearts and with our heads, and that we represent the citizens of Kenner in the best way. We want to pray for all of those students whose school year is coming to an end, especially those seniors who are graduating as they enter into their finals. Be with them to take away the stress of the testing and protect them and keep them safe. We want to pray for some members of our community who have passed. First, we want to pray for Eloise Fusilier, the grandmother of Council Member-elect Dominic Impastato and the mother of Karen Impastato. And we want to pray for the entire Impastato family as they grieve their loss. We want to pray for a longtime Kenner resident, Gary Auer, and a former Kenner resident, Monty Montague. We pray for all of their families as they grieve. And we also want to pray for all of those who continue to protect our community at home and abroad, our firemen, our police members, and all of those serving in the armed forces. For these things and all these blessings we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Mayor Yenny, would you lead us in the pledge? Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Chairman, you have a quorum this evening. In accordance with Council Resolution Number B 14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones, pagers, beepers, and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. Under the consent agenda this evening, we have item 1, approval of minutes, the regular council meeting of April 3rd, 2014. Item 2 is approval of alcoholic beverage permit applications. We have none. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. Item 3A is application number 1814/14, the North American Midway Entertainment/Amusement South Incorporated, to hold a public gathering for the purpose of a spring carnival on May 15, 2014 through May 18, 2014, from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. on weekdays and from 1 p.m. to 11 p.m. on weekends at the Esplanade Mall parking lot in Kenner, Louisiana. Item 4 is correspondence reports from the mayor, CAO, or department heads. We have none. Item 5 is acceptance and rejection of bids requiring an expenditure of less than $5,000. Item 5A is a resolution accepting the responsive bid received from American Gymnast in the amount of $2,704.14 for the purchase of one classic-style balance beam in accordance with telephone bid number T14-2161 for the Department of Parks and Recreation. Item 5B is a resolution approving repairs to Skag lawn equipment in the amount of $2,968.47 by Vaughn's Power Equipment Incorporated, an authorized dealer of Skag equipment for the Department of Parks and Recreation. Item 6 is change orders requiring an expenditure of less than $5,000. We have none. Item 7 is acceptance of committee findings for final passage. We have none. Item 8 is re-subdivision ordinances for final passage, and we have none.
Motion by Councilwoman Brannigan, second by Councilwoman Black. Please vote.
One more. Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Under the public appearance agenda this evening, we have item 9, public hearings for final passage. Item 9A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,682, an ordinance amending sections 7-2, 7-77, 7-95, 7-96, 7-98, 7-99, 7-100, 7-123, and 7-127 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Kenner, Louisiana, to adjust certain value thresholds and penalties to establish the offense of battery of a police officer and to provide for related matters.
Motion by Councilwoman Brannigan, second by Councilwoman DeFrancis to open a public hearing. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0.
We are now in a public hearing to discuss summary ordinance number 11,682. If there's anyone in the audience that wishes to address the council on this matter, please come forward. Motion by Councilwoman Brannigan, second by Councilwoman DeFrancis to close the public hearing. Please vote.
One more. Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0.
Motion by Councilwoman Brannigan, second by Councilwoman DeFrancis to approve. Hearing no, Councilman Stagney, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Who put the legislation on? The city attorney's office?
We drafted at the request of the police department.
Okay, and all it does is reflect the change in the revised statutes, and we're just
Yes, I think
incorporating
we're
that into our code?
Incorporate that into our ordinances.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Hearing no other discussion, please vote on approval.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning. For final passage, we have none. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. Item 12A is summary ordinance number 11,686, an ordinance dedicating the proceeds received from community events sponsored by the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council to the Capital Projects Fund related to the capital budget to help fund improvements to Kenner Parks and Recreation.
Motion by Councilman Black, second by Councilwoman Brannigan. Hearing no discussion, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13A is a resolution ordering and calling a special election to be held in the city of Kenner, state of Louisiana, with respect to proposed amendments by adding a new section 2.27.01 to the Kenner Home Rule Charter and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Madam Chairman, we've received a request for an indefinite deferral on this item.
Okay, motion by Councilman Reyno, second by Councilman Stagney for an indefinite deferral. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 13B is a resolution ordering and calling a special election to be held in the city of Kenner, state of Louisiana, with respect to proposed amendments to Section 6.12 of the Kenner Home Rule Charter and providing for other matters in connection therewith. We've also received a request for an indefinite deferral.
Motion by Councilman Reyno, second by Councilwoman DeFrancis for indefinite deferral. Please vote.
Did you want?
Excuse me. By the way, I'm mentioning we have six of them. I asked if we could do them in globo, but I was informed that since it's all different individual ordinances, we have to do them one at a time. So please bear with us. Councilman Reyno, you want to speak at the end? Thank you. I appreciate that. Please vote on indefinite deferral.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 13C is a resolution ordering and calling a special election to be held in the city of Kenner, state of Louisiana, with respect to proposed amendments by adding Section 6.17 and repealing Sections 3.04, 2.06, and 5.04 of the Kenner Home Rule Charter, and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
Motion by Councilman Reynaud, second by Councilwoman Brannigan for an indefinite deferral. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 13D is a resolution ordering and calling a special election to be held in the city of Kenner, state of Louisiana, with respect to proposed amendments to Section 2.31 of the Kenner Home Rule Charter and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
Motion by Councilman Reynaud, second by Councilman Denopoulos. Please vote for an indefinite deferral. You notice y'all all getting a chance to.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 13E is a resolution ordering and calling a special election to be held in the city of Kenner, state of Louisiana, with respect to proposed amendments by repealing Sections 3.05 and 3.07 and substituting Section 3.05 of the Kenner Home Rule Charter and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
Motion by Councilman Reynaud, second by Councilman Carroll for an indefinite deferral. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 13F is a resolution ordering and calling a special election to be held in the city of Kenner, state of Louisiana, with respect to proposed amendments to Section 2.13F of the Kenner Home Rule Charter and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
Motion by Councilman Reno, second by Councilwoman Black. For an
Black.
indefinite,
Black, thank you.
for an indefinite deferral. We have Councilman Reno. You'd like to speak on the indefinite deferral?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam President. I had asked for an indefinite deferral on all of these after speaking with my fellow council members up here as well as the council-elect. And we will be revisiting this again, I'm sure. So that's really all I need to comment on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Reno. Please vote for item 13F of indefinite deferral.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 13G is a resolution reaffirming the commitment of the council for the city of Kenner to utilize revenues derived from the Treasure Chest Casino for capital projects, debt reduction, and infrastructure maintenance/construction as previously dedicated in the city of Kenner ordinance number 7559.
Motion by Councilman Black, second by Councilwoman Brannigan. I guess I'm going to get on my soapbox. Mayor, administration, council. In 1995, when gaming came into the city of Kenner, I know that y'all probably have heard me say this before and maybe get tired of hearing it, but I think it's imperative that we, as a city, remain physically responsible as we did in 1995 when legislation was put on dedicating gaming revenues. They were supposed to be 25% for infrastructure, 25% for debt reduction, and 50% for capital improvements. Previously, we had no capital improvement budget. As a result of that, when the Treasure Chest was formed in 1995, in 1996, the city of Kenner got their first big boost in the form of about $8 million, of which $2 million went directly to the police department because that's the way it was in the budget, and the city had $6 million. Each district councilman received about $400,000. Can you imagine what, and then the rest for capital improvements, which was saved up until like 1998 or 1999 to when we did Project Blueprint, because that was in our infrastructure account. My reason for bringing all of this up to you now is because I want to stress to the administration and to my colleagues how important it is to not do what we have been doing for the past 3 years, and that's been plugging up the holes in our budget from lack of money in our police department and lack of money in our operating budget, and we've been using these gaming revenues, non-reoccurring monies, for reoccurring expenses such as operating our city. I'm going to be leaving this office in June 30th of this year. I want to go on record as saying that I remain convinced that we should not use gaming revenues, non-reoccurring monies, and put it in our operating budget. If you all recall, when gaming came into the state legislature back when, I can't remember the exact date, they sold it to the public, saying that the monies from the gaming revenues were going to go to education. Not one penny that we know of has been going to education, but maybe educating people about how to stop gambling. That's about one of the things that they're talking about. And I know that we cannot continue to be supporting our budget, our operating budget on gaming revenues, which have been reoccurring. Yes, I understand that. For the past 20 years, we have been getting monies from that, and we have funded a lot of our projects. But I'm a firm believer in fiscal conservative government, and I think that is one way of doing it, is not relying on other revenues. When we went to DEQ back when Ed Munez was here, back in 2004, 2005, we Pratt Ready made an application with the DEQ to try and get low-interest money so that we could try and repair our sewage. Why am I bringing this up? It's because the DEQ saw that the city of Kenner was doing the proper thing. They were paying down their debts. They had a capital budget. We had monies in order to repay these loans. They saw that we were on the right track, and not many cities were. So all of this goes back to our conservatism in doing the sewer repairs. All of the projects that we've been doing, it's because we had these monies in place. I cannot tell y'all what to do because we've amended it for the past 3 years. I just think, I want to stress to everyone that I think it's not a good thing to do. I'd like to hear some other versions. I mean, I don't have a closed mind on this. Oh, well, yeah, I really do have a closed mind on this because I'm not going to change my mind on this in either way. But if anyone would like to speak or give me some responses, I would welcome it. But I just had to put this on because I know that our budget is coming up soon. I know that we have problems. I know we have little holes to fill in. I just want to stress that if there's any other way we can do it without going into those revenues, I think that we can try and cut back, and then maybe when we get the permit fees from the airport, when they start building the airport, we're going to be getting about $2 million, and maybe we can do what we want to do then with those monies without going into the reserves that we have set aside or have dedicated. Dedicating things is the proper way to go. We dedicated something tonight, Mayor, from the students, the advisory council, dedicating that to a certain area. We know that money's going to go there, and it'll always be there. So that's all. I guess I'm just preaching and on my soapbox, but it's very, very important to me that we keep doing the conservative government that we've been doing. Councilwoman DeFrancis.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to make sure that we have the correct ordinance number on the record. Council Clerk, could you please repeat the ordinance number? Perhaps I misunderstood. I just want to make sure what we have and what you're stating are one and the same.
You want me to read the caption again?
No, just the ordinance number. That's all.
The ordinance number should be 7549.
Okay, I heard 59. That's why earlier. That's why I wanted to make sure that it
I'm
was
sorry.
49. That's okay. I just want to make sure we had on the record the right one. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Francis. Councilman Stagney.
Thank you, Madam President. First, let me commend, I wasn't on the council, and I don't believe several of us were, when Ms. Black's ordinance was adopted. Prior to that, the city rarely had a capital budget. I don't think, they had to scrape money together just to get a capital budget. It probably has been the most significant piece of legislation passed that helped the police department, the administration. It provided for debt reduction. It provided citywide capital, but at the same time, it allotted some monies in each individual districts in case money was not allotted during a budgeting process. So it has benefited this city greatly. Now, having said that, Ms. Black mentioned that the last 3 years, we've had to take some capital money and use that in the operating budget. And nobody wants to do that, and in a perfect world, we would not do that. But I can tell you, if you look across the country, city governments, to the tune of almost 70% of them, have had to use some capital money or delay capital projects and use those monies to provide for the operations of government while this economic downturn happened. So we did that. There was nothing wrong in doing that. We still allotted most of that money for what it was used for, but we probably had the most significant downturn in the economy that we've had since maybe the Great Depression. So we withstood that. We did it in a financially sound manner. The administration did a good job. This council did a good job. The good news, I believe, this year is that, Ms. Black, you're going to have your way. We're all going to have our way, because I believe we're going to use the money from that ordinance where it's supposed to go. The airport's going to be doing some significant work, and if those monies are budgeted in the budget, That should suffice, that any money we would need to cover operations can come out of the fund balance. We'll let the administration talk about that. They submitted the budget today. Mr. McConnell, did you?
Yes.
Did we?
Yeah, we submitted the budget for next year to y'all this afternoon, and as Mr. Stagney said, yes, we are not asking to rebudget or rededicate any capital funds this year. With the money that we're getting from, or projecting to get from the airport, we can balance the budget using part of the fund balance, so this year we will not be asking to rededicate capital in the coming year.
You
I'm
just made
ecstatic.
our council president smile.
I'm ecstatic.
But I wanted to say again, Madam President, that was an excellent piece of legislation. It has served our city well, and I know you're proud to be the author of that legislation. And there's been only a handful of times we've had to deviate from it. We did it for good reason and not out of context with what other cities did. So congratulations on a
Thank
great
you.
piece of legislation.
Thank you, and I thank the administration, because I wouldn't want to have their job trying to do that. I know we can do it, but it's tough, and I don't know what we'd do without Duke. Councilman Reyno, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I just have one question for Duke McConnell. Prior to these 3 years that we did use this capital money, have we ever used that in the past?
No.
Never. And you've been here since this original ordinance in 1996 when the treasure chest came? Okay, I just wanted to just clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Yenny, please.
And Jeannie, I respect what you said. I totally get it. I'm partially offended because over the you've served with 5 mayors, 5 elected mayors, and some appointed mayors. This administration has given you $27 million in new roadways. We've earmarked $50 million for storage rehab. We've done another $37 million capital project. So this city has gotten more capital or earmarked capital over the past 4 years. That's why we felt it was justifiable to be able to go after that. You are presented today with a $3.5 million capital budget because we are doing something that you don't like us doing. We're using non-reoccurring money, meaning the airport funding, to be able to offset the other costs so we don't have to go in capital. And keep in mind for all of you that the airport funding is not reoccurring. It's going to be a one-time hit over a course of several years when they make the payments for the license, their permit. So it's something we don't like to do, but you're getting we've cut this administration, along with the tail end of the Muniz administration, have cut $8.5 million out of the budget and 135 positions. And to agree with what Councilman Stagney said, yes, this has been an unbelievable time of the year since 2007 when we've seen this downturn in the economy. And both the tail end of the Muniz administration and my first term have done everything we can to run this government more conservatively than ever and made the cuts where we've had to make the cuts. And it was not pretty cuts. And none of us liked going into the capital budget. But when I say we've delivered capital to the citizens of Kenner, we have. I'd love to do more. There's always needs for more. There's always roadways that need to be repaired. There's always the drop downs that everybody wants, the handicap accessible sidewalks added. We were able to do that with the $27 million we got through the Paths to Progress. So, we put the right people in the right positions, and we've been able to go after the right funding to be able to make it all work. And it's something we don't like to do, having to ever raid capital to plug the operating. But when you run a city whose budget should probably be as much as the city of Lake Charles at about $120 million, and we operate at about $59 million, that's why. But you got it, you and some of your colleagues, because you understood the need to ask the public how they want their future run. Unfortunately, they didn't want their future run on any more mills. We got that, and we're doing everything we can to now fund it with what we've got. And if it means we're going to have to raid capital, I don't want you coming out of your retirement screaming at me, because it's not because we want to do it, it's because we have to do it, because we just frankly can't cut anymore.
Mayor, let me just say, I appreciate your comments. In no way was that directed towards any detriment towards this administration. It was not meant for that. I just wanted to stress and emphasize the importance. When you pass a piece of legislation, when you pass an ordinance, it becomes law. Well, what good is that legislation if every year, for the past 3 years, you keep circumventing that piece of legislation, a law, in order to do what you want to accomplish. In the past years, we have taken monies from one-time
Recurring
Mike,
funds.
yeah, you know what I'm trying to say.
Recurring funds.
We have taken money from, we took it one time from the break tag.
That's right.
The overage we had in break tag, we took it from something else, 2 years before that, or 2 years after that. So we have taken one-time monies to fill up the hole that we have in our budget. So I just used the airport because I know that is like going to be about $2 million that we will have, it may be more.
Right,
And-
it's a creative way to plug a budget that we've done every time. Like you mentioned, break tag, this is the same thing. It's
Yeah.
not the way we want to do it, it's the only way we can do it without additional
It's not a
cost.
permanent fix. It's not a permanent fix. It's going to come back and haunt us every year because the budgets that we have approved we're spending more than, and I hate to put it this way because this is not directly against you, but we're spending more than is coming in. For instance, like in the police department or in the operating budget where we have, the people won't approve millages, so the police department is funded 13-point-something million, and because of to run this city efficiently and to make sure that we have a safe city, they have to spend 16 million because of the new police officers and things of that nature.
But with all due respect, ma'am,
So-
we're not spending more than is coming in.
Well-
We're cutting in order to keep a standstill budget in all departments, because our budget should continually grow. Things should go up because costs and expenses go up.
Right,
We've had to
inflation.
scale back to cut, so we're not spending more than we're taking in. We're reducing in every place we can.
Right.
When we started, when Mayor Muniz did 10% cuts across the board 8 years ago. And so, so departments are so scaled back, there's very little room in those departments to cut. So the police department at $16 million has had basically a standstill budget for the past probably
Understand.
6 to 7 years because everything goes up. Retirement costs, insurances, fuel, vehicles, all those costs go up, but we're still living within the same means of those budgets as they were 6, 7 years ago.
And besides that, the majority of our budget is sales tax, and I know that sales tax fluctuates a lot, so that's another expense, another funding that we're not sure of what we're going to have. So I get it. I understand the whole scenario. I haven't been here 32 years and kept my ears closed. I know what's been happening with our city, but I just could not leave this office without stressing the importance of that, using those monies if we don't have to and we can get it from someplace else. And that's my reason for putting this legislation on tonight. But yes, you're right. I get it. I know what
Believe
y'all
me,
go through.
I'm sure financially your last 7 years have been worse than
Oh,
all of your 32
there's no doubt.
combined.
There's no doubt. Since Katrina, everything has just,
Right.
I could see everything going on. But I also know that during Katrina, this city, because of our monies that we had put aside from our gaming revenues and everything else that we had, we came back first and had our drains cleaned, had our cities restored, had businesses open. We were the first city to come back because this city had it all together. And so I want to continue it that way. I want to remember it that way. I want to come back in 20 years with a cane and come up to the mic and say, good job, Mayor Reagan. Mayor
hope not.
Reagan, Yanni.
I hope not.
So,
But no, and again, your ordinance is never going on deaf ears, whether with the past administration or this administration, because Duke always tells us, if we do that, Jeannie's going to be something, and I'm not going to quote
yeah,
what
I'm
he
just
says.
going to have that
Okay.
legislation carved on my gravestone. So, thank you so much, and thank you for listening to me, because I know it's not something everybody wants to hear, but it's something that needs to be said. Councilman Carroll, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. And, I'd like to first thank Councilwoman Black for all the years on the council, and that piece of legislation was great for the city of Kenner. It has made our job a whole lot easier by being able to get all of those monies in the years, and I can appreciate that because I think it has done us well as a council person. Whenever we can get more, obviously, we're a little territorial, sometimes a little greedy, and that's just the way it is. But I will agree with the mayor that our administration and city has spent millions of dollars for projects, capital projects, that has not come from the capital project. We have done a lot. The country in itself has been in a bad situation for the 7 to 8 years. So I think we should be commended, along with the police department, to be able to sustain and maintain a fully staffed police department to do all of these projects. You know, I would just like to go on record saying that, you know, I have been part of, for the past 4 years, that we have taken money from the capital projects to do what to make sure our budget was intact. And it was something that maybe that I was not as comfortable with. I'm sure I'm not as conservative as Councilwoman Black is, but I understand sometimes we as a council, as an administration, as the mayor, have to do some things to ensure that we keep our lights on. And I believe over the past 3 years, we did the right thing. I would never want to say I stick my foot in the ground saying I'm not going to ever do it again, because I cannot and will not say that. I hope that in the future we don't ever have to do it, but hopefully I would do the most fiscal thing to make sure that the city operates and we provide our citizens with the quality that we all deserve. And if it means sometimes having to look at the capital monies, then I will look at it. And I think this is what we have to do as government to do what's best for us. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Carroll. Councilwoman Brannigan.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I think in principle, we all and the administration all agree that we don't ever want to put ourselves in a position to use monies that we can't rely on from year to year to be able to balance our budget. I think in principle, we're all on the same page. And I have total respect for the ordinance that was passed and for Councilmember Black for, you know, being the champion of it for all of these years. But, you know, the past couple of years when we made those decisions, we didn't do it lightly. Balancing our budget is not unlike balancing your home budget. So you project what you're going to have for the year. For instance, you have a job, and so you know you're going to have X amount of dollars coming in, but if your hours get cut or you get sick and you have to take off of work and that amount is cut, you sometimes have to dip into your savings because you need to continue to pay the house note, continue to keep the lights on, continue to put shoes on your children or whatever your costs are. So, you know, the city is not unlike a family budget in that nobody wants to dip into their savings or money put aside for vacation or whatever other purpose. But sometimes we all find ourselves in that position, and especially in the economic times that we've realized the past couple of years. But, you know, honestly, I feel like our city has not, we've not had to dedicate monies as much as other governments have done. For instance, we rely very heavily on sales tax revenue, and when those go down, it really does make it a challenge for us to determine, you know, who are we going to look in the face and tell they don't have a job, or are we going to not do a roadway project, or, you know, are we going to have to cut back some other way? So none of these decisions are easy, but, and believe me, we've you know, struggled with having to make it the past few years. But this year of all years, Mayor Yenny alluded to all of the sewer projects for capital, all of the roadway projects that were funded by, you know, the state and federal monies. We also have all the 2030 projects coming up. So this year of all years, nobody can accuse us of not doing some improvements to the city. Which does not mean that makes it okay to take money from capital or any other place. I just always tell people, if you're criticizing and if you understand the issue, then give us a better idea. So anybody who has a better idea about how we can, because we only have one bite at the apple in about a month to approve the budget, and so we're open to any suggestions that would make more sense. But, you know, unfortunately, we still have needs. We still have to provide services. We still have to keep the lights on. And so, you know, it's our challenge to figure out each year the best way to do it that's going to hurt our city the least. You know, I struggle between the capital projects and, you know, our reserves, because our reserves are monies that help us posture to get better bond financing and put us in a better light when it comes to being able to reach out to other agencies to assist us. They don't give a hill of, you know, they don't give a hill of beans if we put in another road, but if we have X millions of dollars saved, then that's meaningful to them. So all of those things need to be measured, as to how it'll have a long-term effect on us. So it's a challenge, and, philosophically, I think we're all on the same page, but until we start attracting more businesses to come back, and until property values go up at the rate that you projected them at some point in time to go up, I think we're going to be challenged with this every year. So, the idea is that we're going to do all these improvements to attract people to come here, to make the properties more valuable, to have more people spending money in the city. So it's all this cycle, I think it's money well spent, but I think it's going to take a while before we realize those returns. So we will be challenged with this, I believe, again next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman DeFrancis, you have the floor.
Thank you, and I'm going to try to be brief. What we did in the past, we did out of necessity, and yet at the same time, we tried to minimize the negative impact on our capital budget. We worked hard as a council and as an administration to work together to minimize that impact, and we did. We really found a balance between the two and made the cuts that were necessary and pulled from both the rainy day fund as well as the capital, but never really took any tremendous amount from either one, so that, again, the impact was as the minimum possible. I also have to compliment this council and most of all the administration for the many, many wonderful capital projects we have coming up. It's going to be a tremendous boon for the city of Kenner, and at the same time for working hard to listen to what not only our council person at large and President Ms. Black said, but other council members, and worked hard to make sure that this year, if at all humanly possible, we did not pull from capital. And that took a lot of work, and I've got to compliment both the administration for listening to us and to the people and working together to make that possible this year. So thank you to everyone concerned.
Thank you, Ms. DeFrancis. Hearing no other discussion, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 13H is a resolution temporarily suspending Council Rule Number 7 of the Rules of Organization, Business, Order, and Procedure of the Council of the City of Kenner and rescheduling the Kenner Council meeting of July 3rd, 2014 to July 10th, 2014, and rescheduling the Kenner City Council meeting of July 17th to July 24th.
Motion by Councilwoman Brannigan, second by Councilwoman DeFrancis. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. We have none. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 11,685, an ordinance ratifying the Coventry Healthcare of Louisiana policy and rates for health insurance coverage for the City of Kenner employees, retirees, dependents for the fiscal year July 1st, 2014 through June 30th, 2015, as set forth in their proposal.
Motion by Councilman Black, second by Councilwoman Brannigan. Councilman Stagney, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I just had one quick question. What's the total amount that we pay for the employees' health insurance for the year?
It's a little over $4 million a year.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay. And I guess my reason nobody else is speaking, I'd like to know why we're changing, and I know you're going to give us a presentation, but why are we changing from the present insurance carrier we have to Coventry?
Okay.
Mr.
I'll be glad to answer the questions.
Quigley.
Just to let you know, we have our broker here from Acacia, Nick Impostata, and I appreciate him coming tonight as Councilwoman Brannigan spoke about his mother-in-law died this morning, so we're very
sad-
appreciative of
sad
his being able
about
to come tonight and answer any questions that may pop up, so we appreciate that. And actually, probably, I guess the real answer is because he did a good job of marketing our business. And actually, by switching, we're going to save about 5%. So in terms of the city, just as Mr. McConnell just told Councilman Stagney, that we pay about $4 million a year for our premium, we're going to save about $212,000 on our premium as far as the city is concerned. And as far as the employees are concerned, even though the employees are paid for by the city, many of them do pay their spouse or children and family, and they're going to see a significant reduction in what they have to pay. So actually, in terms of employee and spouse, after we subtract the $452.91, is that per paycheck? Is that per month? Per month. All right, it comes out to $452.91 per month for an employee that they don't pay. And also, if you subtract that from an employee and a spouse, they'd be currently paying $1,048.87, and that goes down to $996.41. An employee and children is currently $905.84. That goes down to $860.53. An employee and family is currently $1,337.31, and that goes down to $1,270.42. So when you subtract the $452.91, that is a significant savings for our employees that are trying to also give health insurance to their spouse or their children. And let me just say that we think we did a very thorough job this year. Last year, a lot of the council members asked us questions about looking into various aspects of insurance. We looked at health savings accounts. We looked at health reimbursement accounts. We looked at healthy plans. Actually, there is a healthy plan involved in this where Coventry will come out and do some health fairs and do other things that will make our employees much healthier. And also, we looked at self-insurance, and self-insurance may be the wave of the future. We actually did an actuarial analysis to see if based on our history, and indicates that there may even be some future savings if we go to self-insurance. Since we don't really have any type of a cushion right now, we decided that we would go with the traditional. But anyway, we are switching. We think it's a much better, and we're switching with the same benefit. I think I need to really emphasize that. It's not like we're reducing the benefit.
That was my next question.
Yeah, it's practically comparing apples to apples. There's the same co-insurance, the same co-payments, everything that we currently have. So we didn't have to reduce the benefit at all. However, the premiums are 5% lower. So again, we think, I think our agent, our advisor, and our committee, I commend our committee. We have together a committee along with the police department, the city attorney's office, civil service, the personnel office. We spent a lot of time evaluating all this. And like I said, I think we did an even more thorough, not that we didn't do a thorough job in the past, but because of the questions some of the council members posed last year, I thought we did a much more thorough job. And I think we're coming up with a real good deal for the employees.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Mr. Impostata wishes to address the council, so just give your name and all the vital information.
Nick Impostato, Acacia Financial Group. Thank you for the opportunity. I just wanted to add to this. Initially, I didn't want to speak, but it's hard for me to sit like that. We not only saved 5% this year by doing this, we saved 5% compared to what we paid the previous year. We're actually saving, if you look at the renewal with United came in, 8%. So if we compared apples to apples, and that was a major effect. The way we set this out, just to clarify to the council, for those that I didn't have an opportunity to speak to before, we actually sent out and made them quote exactly apples to apples. And when they came back, this quote came in 5% less than what we were paying at the time, with the addition of their commitment to come out and work with our employees to try to get healthier employees by doing health fairs here, coming out and doing testing. They also added on both of CVS as well as Walgreens, so that they do have the nurse practitioners there. That's going to save your employees money as well when they go in for the flu shots and that for the children. The amount of money that they're saving with the changes with the Obama law, which is very important. Years in the past, employees might have their children on individual policies, and that was very commonly done. Now, there are very few, there's only one carrier, unless they're grandfathered in, that they could add their children on a separate policy. So now they can afford with this, if you look at the new prices, to add their children with the 4 tiers that we added on last year, which has helped us, and this is getting our experience lower, and hopefully, if we get control, we'll be able to see a decrease again next year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councilman Denopoulos?
Couple of questions, Mr. Impastato, just so we can, I guess when we had that meeting, we were talking about a couple of policies. We were talking about the health policy, and we were also talking about the commercial policies in that meeting. I just want to make sure. The only thing really, I mean, in Coventry Health, it was definitely a lower cost to the city, which I want to thank you for getting that and shopping it. The only find that I found that was a difference was there's only a $5 difference in copay from the previous year. Was one of the things we discussed? There was about $5 difference in copay. That was about all.
Copay is the same, 25 and 25.
So that didn't change. Now, in that meeting, I think we talked about that they're not just lowballing us on this price. They may keep this price for 2 years.
No, what I said was, the question was presented to me from our consultant.
Right.
Did we think that this was trying, they call it buying the business?
Exactly. We talked about that. It's a good price.
That was the term.
Let them buy it for this.
And my response to that was, for those that don't know, Aetna and Coventry have merged. And Aetna's a very good company, and so is Coventry, but it just gave us a wider span. And so my response to that, and this was an opinion, was that they came in here because they knew what our previous premium was. They all knew that. Coming in here to win our business again. Coventry was previously our carrier years in past. And with Aetna, for the last 3 years, Aetna wouldn't even quote on municipalities. Once they made the commitment, they came in my opinion, and I did check it with them, and that's where we came in with that, was that, no, I think that they came in to win our business, and they're not going to win our business in 1 year. They have to have a recurrence of the second year to start making this a profitable venture for them. It stands to reason that if a company receives, and I'm just using numbers, $4 million, and they spend $3.9 million in claims, that's not always thought to be profitable, but it's a volume base. I'm not saying that's what it is. And I believe, and I went back to them after I thought it was going to be the recommendation and said my credibility is on the line. I'm not going to sit here with what I've seen happen to the city in the past with a 30% increase after you win the business, because you'll lose it. The price that we have, it's a no-brainer. It should be chosen. And I can tell you that I believe this with everything that's in me, that I think we're looking at 2 years of a justified premium.
All right. That was
In order to get you a guarantee, I would have had to let them re-quote it.
Yeah,
Okay.
no,
But I feel
I
good
understand, but it's a good note, not a bad note. I'm trying to point out is that
Yeah.
you're right. They're coming to buy our business, but they're in occasion they're here to stay.
Yeah.
And not be switching back
I would
like
say
we've been
they
doing.
rented our business for the next 2 years.
That's a good thing, and that's for the next council to look at too, because like you said, it was an 8% difference from what renewing our current policy was.
Yeah.
But 5% cheaper than what we're currently paying from last year, because everybody else is going up in health costs. So it was a considerable savings.
There was no one close after that 5%.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Denopoulos. Councilman Carroll, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and Mr. Impastato. Thank you very much for your hard work, and again, have our condolences. I'd like to, a couple of questions, and it's good that we are receiving a $200,000 savings. That's worked all the way around, and as we talked about for about a half an hour earlier, these are all issues we have to deal with when we do our budget for the city. We have an aging workforce every year, so these are things that's going to be important for us and for the people that work for us. I apologize for not being at the meeting when you came, but Mr. Quigley informed me of all the information that was shared, and even the documentation. And as far as the deductibles, did they remain the same also? Did they go down or go up, or as it relates to?
No, the deductibles are the same.
Yes.
The only difference that's in all the plans, that would be a difference from last year, is the out-of-pocket maximum. Okay? Which means that if you, in this plan, you have the same $2,500 deductible, and then you would pay 20% up to the maximum out-of-pocket. And there's a mandate that the most it can be is $6,350, and theirs is $6,350. That's what your companies are going with. And that's a mandate that the maximum, and all your insurance companies have done that.
Thank you. And I think that's, overall, I think our employees will reap the benefits from this, and hopefully for years to come to be able to stay within, because everywhere healthcare is an issue for everyone, as well as the citizens of Kenner. And this may be some.
Excuse me, my answer to that, if I may?
Yes, sir.
The amount of money that potentially the insurance companies have created by doing that to us on out-of-pocket, in this particular case, is well overruled by the amount of savings that our employees, besides the city, are receiving on a monthly basis, because that savings is guaranteed to the tune of some of them $100 a month, which is $1,200 that we'll be putting back in the employees' pockets, period. Whereas in order for them to receive a $1,000 difference, they would have to experience a catastrophic event where they're in the hospital. So I still believe that it's the way to go.
Hey, thank you. And who knows where we're going to be 5, 3, 4 years from now? As things change, it's guys, it's professionals like yourself to put us in a position that's going to be work well for the city. And this may be Mr. Quigley to answer this. As far as it relates to our property insurance, how do we fare for that for this coming year?
That's actually later on in the agenda, but actually, we think we came very well with that, too. We're actually getting, in that situation, we're getting better coverage at a very similar price, but that's later on in the agenda, so we'll be able to elaborate further on that then. But,
Okay, thank you.
I think overall we did well.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Tempestano.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Carroll. Councilwoman DeFrancis, you have the floor.
Thank you. First of all, condolences to you and your family, sir.
Thank you.
And again, thank you for all your hard work. And again, a saving to the city, a saving to our employees. The level of care is the same, if not better. That's a win-win for everyone concerned. You mentioned also we have at least 2 major pharmacies that they can use. That was also you also made sure that happened. But there was something else that also came up at our meeting that I wanted to point out to the public. You know, most people hate to change doctors. If they're comfortable with their doctors, they don't want to change doctors. And one of the things you pointed out was that we aren't going to have a very limited number of doctors or hospitals under this new policy where, you know, our employees can receive service. And I just wanted to put that before the public as well. So if you could just mention that.
Yeah, they, what Councilwoman DeFrancis was talking about is what they call the network. That's the doctors that you can use for that $25 or for a specialist $45. They have almost identical, if not a larger network.
Exactly.
In fact, what Coventry did, and let me state, I'm just regurgitating to you what happened through our process. This isn't Nick saying we ought to do something. But what they did was they made sure that even our employees and retirees that are out of the district or the network themselves, they made sure they had another network that cost us no more for the city, and they have the doctors. No one will experience it. We also went to the next level of requiring them to send me the list of physicians, and we took as close as we could for the doctors we know, and we saw no difference. I do know that they're willing to work with us. One thing that has been a thorn, I guess, in our side on the agent side is the medicine Nexium. That has been a real issue with your employees because it was always out on a tier that was very expensive. They put Nexium on a tier 2, which just saved those employees to the tune of $75, $80 a prescription. I really believe that because the basic fundamental policy is the same, with the added features of some whistles and bells that they've added, the employees are going to be very satisfied, and by the fact that there's no conversation about raising their premiums for their employees. We did experience more single employees with children. That's going to help us, and I've said this in all our meetings. The healthier people we have on a group, the better the experience, and I think that's what's really starting our momentum to help us get better premiums for the city. It is true we have an aging group of people, but now we have some younger people coming on the plan, healthier people coming on the plan, and all that's going to work in the city's benefit. And that's my job, to keep trying to get the employees to realize the value that the city's given them in the health insurance, and I realize that's my job.
And I just wanted to put it out there for our employees, because as we said before, when you're comfortable with your doctor, when you feel, when you have faith in your doctor, that's the one you want to keep. And that's exactly what you did with this policy, gave them the option of keeping their doctors, and we hadn't really mentioned it before, and I wanted to put it out there for everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your help.
Thank
and
you,
all
Mr.
do.
Francis. Councilman Rayno, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nick, again, condolences, and, you're in our thoughts and prayers, and you and your family. Thank you for everything that you did. I know we threw a lot of stuff on the table. I know you had to do a lot of work this year, a lot more than you've had to do in the past. Not that you didn't do a lot of work before. And I want to thank the administration, too, because everything that we kept on throwing at them, they looked at everything. I do have a couple of questions. The percentages of families, city employees that have their families covered, you said that we were adding more with families, so you're getting a different mix. So are the percentages, the number of employees that are adding their families increasing a lot, or just?
I wouldn't have the exact numbers, but we had, and I can only go by people that have been calling us lately, and I guess because of the laws, I can tell you we increased the family coverage last year, but not surmountable, because a lot of people already had things intact.
Right.
And now we're starting to reap that benefit now. Where we increased were, you had a lot of employee and spouse, but they used to have to pay for the entire family.
Right.
Now they don't. As a year ago, they don't, and now it's even cheaper. And that's where I think we're growing.
Right. And I guess that's what I'm trying to get at, is the fact that now that the rate is lower for the family, you're going to get more
We'll continue to grow in that
employees
area.
to add their families on here, which is going to increase the healthiness of our total group, which should also, somewhere along the line, improve our rates.
Right now, the quote that we'll be giving for family quote, although I wish I could say everybody's going to jump off for joy, it's very inexpensive, I can tell you that it's very competitive for them. And I had one that called me about, and excuse me, they can't get individual policies until October. Now there's a ruling for individual policies. Open enrollment all has to be the same in October through January. But had I been able to quote that, we had a gentleman that called me that his wife is retiring, works for the police department, a school teacher. When I gave him the quote and the benefits, because there are benefits in your policy that you don't get on an individual basis. And when he told me what his COBRA was going to cost and what the quotes were, he was very happy. I said, I can't give the exact price, but it's around, because I don't, know what they know about stuff. But what I told him the family coverage should cost for the coverage for his spouse, it was about $150 cheaper than what he was expecting to pay.
Good.
So does that mean that it's going to be automatic? No. That is my job, to explain it each and every meeting, and I know what my job is. Am I confident it's going to happen? I'm very confident it's going to happen. I have no doubts.
Good. Well, thank you again. I have a couple of questions for the administration. Mr. Quigley, the amount that the city pays for health insurance per employee, we pay 100% of the employees?
Yes, fortunately for our employees, the city pays 100% for the employee portion of the premium.
And
Now,
how does
it
that
breaks-
compare? How does that compare to other cities around us? Let's say Jefferson Parish.
Well, I can tell you Jefferson Parish employees pay a portion of the premium.
Okay.
And it's not a big portion of it, but they do pay.
Okay.
You know, it's our understanding that, like I said, we're pretty much one of the few that pays the full amount for our employees. It's a good employee benefit for our employees.
Okay, and the other question I had was on the self-insurance fund, doing a self-insured program. And I know y'all did the research on that, and the savings to the city would have been about?
We think there's a potential, we feel like we may have saved at least $600,000 in hindsight if we could have done that in the past. That's what the actuarial analysis said. You know, that has to be tempered with the fact that that can be swings. I mean, it's yes, certainly some years you could gain, but when you self-insure, you're locked in, and then you could, if you had a bad year, it could go the other way. But based on our experience over the last 2 or 3 years, we probably would have saved money.
So if it went the other way, you're talking about you could actually spend $600,000 more than what we're paying.
Right, that's the risk.
So if we're saving $200,000 on this year's plan, about, in 3 years, if we were to take that savings and actually put it in a separate fund, we would have enough in 3 years to actually be able to self-insure and possibly see a $600,000 a year savings.
Right, and that could be the start of your self-retention fund, correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Ms. Impostata, thank you so much for coming. Please give your wife Karen our condolences.
Thank you.
We appreciate you being here tonight. As a former chairman of the insurance provisions for our employees, I know what a job it is when you start looking at all those figures and prices and benefits and everything. So we appreciate what you have done for the city, appreciate the administration for choosing something they feel is the best for our employees, cost-wise and benefit-wise. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, hearing no other discussion, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 6-0. Councilmember Stagney is abstaining. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 11,687, an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from DocuMart in an amount not to exceed $5,064.25 for the purchase of dance programs for the 2014 Dance Review in accordance with telephone bid number T14-2155 for the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Motion by Councilman Reyno, second by Councilman Stagney. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15C is summary ordinance number 11,688, an ordinance authorizing the utilization of Jefferson Parish contract number 55-000141559 with Louisiana Office Products for the purchase of office supplies on an as-needed basis in an amount not to exceed $125,000 annually.
Motion by Councilman Denopoulos, second by Councilman DeFrancis. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15D is summary ordinance number 11,689, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Charvet's Garden Center Incorporated and Double M Feed for the purchase of mulch and self-hauled soil in accordance with seal bid number 14-6199, awarding an annual contract to Charvet's Garden Center Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $10,000 annually for the purchase of red mulch, Sienna Softscape, and black garden soil, and awarding an annual contract to Double M Feed in an amount not to exceed $10,000 annually for the purchase of pine mulch, pine straw bales, and Sienna Softscape.
Motion by Councilwoman Brannigan, second by Councilwoman DeFrancis. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15E is summary ordinance number 11,690, an ordinance approving amendment number 1 to the engineering agreement with Linfield Hunter and Junius Incorporated regarding Lake Trail Drive drainage and valuation improvements, which increases the maximum agreement amount to $270,605 in order to accommodate an expansion of the scope of work to include design-related services.
Motion by Councilman Reno, second by Councilman Carroll. Councilman Reno, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Gonzalez, can you just give us a summary of what we're doing here and also an update on what's going on this project?
Brief summary. This is a two-phase project. Phase 1 is under construction right now, which requires some work along the levee. The work is being performed by one of our maintenance contractors. And that includes the design and resin inspection services. Phase 2 will require the construction of a mini pump station at Vintage and Lake Trail. That work, design-wise, has not yet started. Once we find a funding source with the design, we'll authorize the design for Phase 2. And we're working on a funding source right now.
And the project that's going on right now on the levee, originally when we had talked about this, they had projected the cost around $200,000 for the construction costs, and it actually came in at 108, I think it was.
That's correct. And that's one of the benefits of having a design consultant prepare plans and specs. And another benefit is the fact that we use our maintenance contractor, which probably had better unit prices than if we would have bid it.
Okay. And the second phase of this project, ballpark cost was about $1 million?
Construction-wise, it's probably about $1.1 million. That's just construction.
Okay. And we talked the other day about, trying to get the funding together to start the design of the second phase of this project.
To get through design of the second phase, we're probably going to need in the neighborhood of $66,000. And I believe you had agreed to put maybe half of it, and that I will be working with you and the administration to see if we can come up with the other half so that we can go ahead and proceed with the design while we looking for construction funds.
And in the new budget, we have some money that, for capital, that projects warrant, some funding now that we can use for maybe working on that engineering, that design?
We working, to try to get some more money through capital outlay, and I think we're going to be successful, but not to the tune of $1.1 million.
And right now, we have $40,000 from
That's correct.
capital outlay.
That's $40,000 that can be used towards construction for Phase 2.
Okay.
And an additional amount is going to be put in this year. I just don't know how much yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Stagney, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. First, I want to commend our colleague, Councilman Reno, for addressing a situation that those residents have been suffering from for a very long time. And I know when he first got elected, he convened a group of people together to try to smoke out some solutions to that problem. And I guess this is partially the result of those early meetings. I do have a question on, we're identifying the funding for Phase 1, and we're saying we're going to find the funding for Phase 2. Is that only for the construction, or does that include the engineering cost as well, Mr. Gonzalez?
This amendment just deals with professional services and resin inspection services. The funding source for Phase 1, I think it was, and Duke can, help me out with this, but I think that the funding source for Phase 1 was District 3 funds, okay? And
That includes the engineering? Is that?
No,
I'm just trying to get an idea of, do you have a funding source for the increase in the engineering contract, I guess is what I'm just trying to find out.
Okay, for the engineering aspect of it,
Yes.
we do not yet have a funding source. That's why in this amendment, we clearly indicated that we would not be giving the design consultant a notice to proceed with
Okay.
Phase 2 until a funding source is found. Now, Council Moreno had indicated that he would be in a position to, once a new budget is adopted, to come up with half of that design fee, provided that, I can work with him and the administration to try to find the other half to allow the consultant to proceed with the design of Phase 2.
Okay, thank you. And again, good legislation. That entire street has been affected by that runoff. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Carroll, and I agree, Councilman Reno. Thank you so much. That's been a thorn in everybody's sides for a long time. When you say your expansion of the scope of work, what exactly are they doing? Are they increasing, obviously increasing the pumping capacity? Are they building a larger lift station there? What do you see the design for? What is the scope of the expansion is what I'm trying to ask.
We started with an evaluation study of Lake Trail between the lake and Vintage. And that included an evaluation and a survey. It didn't take us long to realize that Lake Trail was probably one of the first streets that was built out there north of Vintage. And that street was much lower than the adjacent street. So in other words, Lake Trail was like a sump, okay? And a lot of water from adjacent street was directed towards Lake Trail.
Yeah, now we're talking about the section of Lake Trail between Vintage and the lake,
And the
right?
lake.
Okay, because
Okay.
it goes a long way.
So as a result of this drainage evaluation study, the consultant recommended a two-phase project. One phase was to do some drainage improvements along the levee to try to eliminate some of that cascade runoff that was coming off the levee into primarily Lake Trail. That work is going on right now. Okay, that's not going to solve the problem. Okay, it's going to alleviate the problem, it's going to minimize the problem, but it will not solve the problem permanently. Phase 2 will require the construction of a mini drainage pump station at Vintage and Lake Trail. That's the project that is most likely is going to eliminate the flooding problem on Lake Trail. And that's the project that we're going to need a construction funding, and we working with the state legislature to try to get some capital outlay. We managed to get $40,000 last year. I think the legislators are committed to, allocating additional funds towards this project.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out, it seems like the biggest source of the problem is right at the foot of the levee where they had that storm drain, where it goes into Gay Lynn. And that was the ultimate low area, and the water was coming down so fast from the levee that the storm drain there just couldn't handle it, and the water was backing up. So I'm trying to figure out how the water is going to get pumped to Vintage. Are y'all? How was that? You gonna?
Well, there's a drainage pipe right now on Lake Trail.
Yes.
That is coming from the lake all the way to the Vintage Canal. Okay, and that pipe is going to remain there, okay? But the water, instead of, being pumped out by gravity and discharging into the Vintage Canal, is going to be pumped out, okay? And when you're pumping the water out, that's less water on the street. It's going to alleviate the amount of ponding on the street because you're going to be pumping it out rather than allowing it to flow by gravity into the canal, on a canal that may be, high to begin with. So
Gravity doesn't come into play at all with that line. I mean, because you're going from a low area up.
Right.
So the reason I ask is because, look, we've had problems there for years. They've always come up with some sort of solution that didn't work. And I'm hoping that this is the final solution. And I think that with the engineering study that Councilman Reyno's going to have, I'm hoping that this is going to be very effective. And I applaud your efforts in trying to help those people who have had a problem for a long time. So thank you very much.
Jeannie,
Yes, sir.
I'm Councilman Black, sorry. If I could echo this. Jose knows this. He won't tell you this because he doesn't like to pat himself on the back. But he and the Drainage Department in Jefferson Parish are responsible for all the ones where they had problems down West Napoleon. And they basically ended a lot of those drainage problems they had on all those streets backing to West Napoleon. And they basically Jose, put a mini pump station at the end of the street so it gets the water on those low-lying streets to the canal. So we know this project is going to work because it's not like we're reinventing the wheel. This wheel's working up and down West Napoleon.
Well, I have a lot of confidence in Jose Gonzalez. I know He's a different breed when it comes to public works directors, and I have confidence that you're gonna help resolve this problem along with Councilman Reno. So thank you very much.
The mayor's correct. Look, if you drive
he
down
knows-
West Napoleon, west of David Drive, you're going to see a mini pump station with a generator. By the way, this pump station is also going to have a generator. And if you keep driving towards Rummel, east of Cleary, you're going to see like 3 or 4 mini pump stations with generators. This is going to look very similar.
As Councilman Reno just said, you know how to move water. I have a strange feeling, though, that I'm going to get a request to help fund this from someplace. I think he has that in the back of his mind, and I would be happy to help in any way I can to help defray some of the cost involved. Thank you. Hearing no other conversation, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15F is summary ordinance number 11,691. An ordinance ratifying proposals from AMR ISC LP for the renewal of commercial property insurance for the period of June 1st, 2014 through June 1st, 2015.
Motion by Councilman Brannigan, second by Councilman Black. Hearing no discussion, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15G is a resolution accepting as complete the contract with Creative Improvements Incorporated in the amount of $30,437.32 regarding the removal of 19 windows and the fabrication and installation of 19 new windows for the first floor of City Hall Building B, letter bid number 14-1512.
Motion by Councilwoman DeFrancis, second by Councilman Carroll. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance adopting the operating budget for the City of Kenner for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2014 and ending June 30th, 2015, amending ordinance number 7549 and providing for related matters. Item 16B is an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Quality Site Works Materials Incorporated to purchase precast concrete catch basins on an as-needed basis in accordance with seal bid number 14-6204 and an amount not to exceed $15,000 per year for the Department of Public Works. Item 16C is an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from J.P. and Sons Dredging LLC for the supply of batcher dirt and sand on an as-needed basis in accordance with seal bid number 14-6203 and an amount not to exceed $70,000 per year for the Department of Public Works. Item 16D is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Fleming Construction Company LLC in the amount of $1,065,315 for the 31st and Jasper Lift Station Project, seal bid number 14-6201 for the Department of Public Works. Item 16E is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from for the purchase of fiberglass light poles and LED lights in accordance with telephone bid number T-14-2160 for the Department of Parks and Recreation. Item 17 is reports from the council and/or special committees.
Yes, Councilwoman DeFrancis, you had some reports. Since you had something you wanted to speak, she had. Reports from the council and our special committees. Do you need a mic? Yes. Okay. There you go.
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you so much. I was asked about, we talk about trying to bring more and more business into Kenner, especially at the mall area. Our two biggest revenue generators are, of course, the airport and the malls. And so I was asked to please read this announcement at this meeting. The Esplanade Mall is excited to invite the entire city of Kenner, Metairie area, New Orleans, St. John, St. Charles, to a special event that's coming up at the mall. It's called Indulge. It's a stylish treat for mothers on May the 8th from 5 to 8 p.m. Indulge is the name of, as I said, of this particular stylish treat. And it is a nationally sponsored event at Simon Malls by Diet Coke and locally by Sun Bodies Tanning Salon. At Indulge, attendees will be treated to free spray tans, courtesy of Sunbodies, wine samples from Pear Wine Company, cheesecake from Copeland's, and more delicious treats from Zoe's Kitchen. The latest spring looks will be featured in a fashion show featuring Macy's, Old Navy, New York & Company, and Earthbound Trading Company. The whole event will be emceed by our local comedian, Jody Borello of the Castle Theater. And a photo booth, from Best Image Photography is also going to be there, and it'll include free jewelry cleaning, hair and makeup tutorials, etc. And again, they want you to celebrate Mother's Day in style with beauty and fashion makeovers, cocktails, live music, and you even get a super chic, according to them, swag bag just for you. So again, we're going to try to get people to come to see what Kenner really has to offer. And I think once they see our theater and all the other things we have to offer, hopefully they'll come back again. Thank you so much.
Thank
Happy
you.
Mother's Day to everyone.
Councilwoman Brannigan.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I have a couple things. Music in the Park is starting this week, May 2nd, 6:30 to 9:30, and it goes through every Friday until May the 30th. So that's out in Rivertown, so please come join us for the Music in the Park. It's been a great event and very well attended every year. It gets bigger and bigger. I wanted to congratulate those new firefighters who just graduated from our class. I don't know exactly how many there was, but it was
We had a lot.
how many was it? 8, and one was a female firefighter. So we're glad to see that. But a special welcome to Devin Hastings, who is the son of our Teresa, who's not here. But she was so proud of him, and we all are proud of him, because a lot of us have watched Devin grow up, and so we welcome him to our city. And I wanted to, there's going to be, wish a special Mother's Day to everybody up here, my colleagues who are mothers, to Michelle Yenny, who is a new mother this year, and of course to my daughter-in-law, who has my 2 grandchildren, and I get to wish a happy Mother's Day to my other daughter-in-law, George's wife, who announced last week that they're expecting. So that, happy Mother's Day to a new mom. We're due in November, so that'll be my 3rd grandchild. So I think that was it. Was there anything else going on? Is there music? I mean, is there movies in the park too on Saturdays? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So Friday night is music in the park, and Saturday nights, the same day, time of year, there'll be movies in the park. So please come join us.
Thank you. Councilman Reno, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to remind everybody that Driftwood Park Country Club is having their crawfish cook-off this Sunday. I think it's from 1,
1 to 4.
1 to 4. So y'all come out. It's $20 for adults, and I think the kids are free this year, aren't they? So that's it. No, actually, I won't. I promised my grandson I would take him camping, so we will be camping this weekend. But, the favorite councilwoman will be there, Miss Black, I know.
Crawfish queen, honey.
Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Yenny, you have the floor.
We just want to remind everybody, we have the Vietnam Moving Wall coming to our Veterans Park. That's going to take place from Thursday, May 15th through Monday, May 19th. Now, the wall is going to be set up for the next council meeting, and the people that put on the wall, we're going to bring them over and present a proclamation to them. And then also we have Jefferson Parish Archdiocese and the public school system have worked together, and there's going to be a essay contest for the 5th graders in both Catholic schools and public schools, and they're going to participate in that about what the Vietnam War meant, and the winner of that essay contest will also be honored at that council meeting. And then the opening ceremony is on Friday at 10 a.m. on May 16th. And this will be not like any of our normal ceremonies, and we will still have a Memorial Day ceremony the following weekend. This is going to be on Armed Forces Day weekend. So and unfortunately, we had to push the Memorial Day ceremony up to Wednesday, because we just, with scheduling and availability of trying to get a speaker for the Memorial Day ceremony, that's moved up to the Wednesday after this event. But this ceremony is not for elected officials. This ceremony is not for anybody but the veterans of the to come and reflect, and they're the ones being honored at this. I mean, we welcome all to come, but this is about honoring and acknowledging those veterans. You know, we've had requests from members of state government to come down and everything, and based on the protocol of the wall, you don't even acknowledge those people. You just acknowledge the veterans of Vietnam that came to this conflict and their family members to come and reflect at this wall. And it's a very moving ceremony that we've worked on following the guidelines. We have a gentleman by the name of Mr. Bill Detwilder, who is a Vietnam veteran. He served during the time of Vietnam, but did not actually go to the Vietnam conflict. But he's ran the World War II Museum. He's on the board of that, and he understands exactly how this ceremony needs to go and has worked with us and other branches of the military. Our speaker is Brigadier General Marine General Paul Lebedine, who will be the speaker, and then there's going to be flag officers from each branch of the military that will present wreaths, and those wreaths will be placed alongside the wall. It's all going to start off on Thursday with an escort from the Pontchartrain Center, where the wall will be housed, all the way to the site behind Kenner City Hall. We believe that this is going to really draw a lot of people to the city to see this, because it hasn't been here in over 20 years. This is the 30th anniversary of this wall, which is called the Moving Wall. There are 4 different walls that travel around the country, and this one is specifically called the Moving Wall. On Friday, there will be another escort that will bring the wreaths, and a lot of Vietnam veterans that are bikers participate in this. It will also start at the Pontchartrain Center and come down Williams Boulevard, leading up to the wall, and then the ceremony will start after that. So, you know, we welcome you all to, you know, to please attend, to be there. It's going to be a very nice occasion, and I'd say a historic day in the city of Kenner. So.
Thank you, Mayor.
And there's also, on that Sunday, there's going to be a sunrise service on May 18th at 7:30 a.m. under the pavilion area of Veterans Park on that Sunday morning. The closing ceremony will be Sunday at 6 p.m., basically around sunset. But the wall will still you'll be able to visit it 24 hours a day from Thursday till Monday, when they start taking it down, around noon? Around noon on Monday. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Councilman Carroll.
Thank you, Madam President. And actually, I forgot, I had listened to Councilwoman Brannigan and kind of reminded me, I like to say, congratulations to my daughter, Gabrielle. She will be graduating from Loyola University on May 10th. So great job, Gabby. I love you, and congratulations. Thank you, Madam President.
Proud papa, huh?
Yes.
Also today, Councilwoman DeFrancis and I attended the National Day of Prayer services that were held today in the Veterans Park. I want to let you know how inspiring it was to see every denomination come and stand in prayer with about 80 people that attended. The beautiful weather under the gazebo and the inspiration that was put forth through all of those people who were speakers. It was a wonderful day, and I'm so happy that we have this in the United States, because this is time when we all need prayers for this country. So we attended that. Saying that, I'm going to move on to something else, because I was talking to Councilman Brannigan, and she said, you know, Jeannie, if you speak now instead of waiting to where you wanted to speak, you get 10 minutes instead of 3. So I'm going to address something that I have on the agenda, that was under unfinished business or motions to remove. I was going to ask for a reconsideration of a vote on something that came up at the last council meeting that unfortunately I was unable to attend. It had to do with billboards, and if anybody knows me, they know that I am the anti-billboard person, and my antennas, when I came back into town and I saw that it had passed, I went ballistic, and I said, I'm bringing this up for reconsideration. And then after that, I heard somebody else, some other people called me, and they said, we want to know the status of the billboard that was, the 3 billboards that were put up for adoption, and I told them that they had passed unanimously. And they brought up a lot of concerns and a lot of questions. I know that Councilman Reyno and Councilman Stagney did their due diligence. I know Councilman Reyno polled some people in his district that he had on his Facebook and his other Driftwood neighborhood, but there were some people who were very, very upset that that this particular billboard that was on West Esplanade at Williams was approved. So I'm bringing it up because I know that when you reconsider something, you have to have a motion by the prevailing force on the council, and everybody still wants to approve it. I just want to bring up a couple of things that I think this billboards were approved because we had some loopholes in the billboard ordinance that we originated back in, I guess 2000. And that was to prevent any future billboards. We did not have that provision in the billboard ordinance that is presently exists that stated that you could amend or in any way the billboard. So as long as it stayed the same size, there was nothing really you could do, although it is an LED lights. And some people told me that they were concerned about the LEDs because one person researched and he said there was an investigation or a program that was led by Harvard Health Letter, which says the effects of LED on people who are envisioning these LED lights. It promotes macular degeneration. I'm not saying that it does. I'm just telling you what they told me. And I tried to get it to where we could reconsider the vote until we had more time to look into it, but obviously we didn't. We couldn't do that. So I would like to say that I think for the next council meeting that perhaps we should impose a moratorium on any future LED signs in the city of Kenner, because any existing billboards that anybody can go ahead and do that. And I don't think that the people of the city of Kenner want to see these billboards lit up with messages that are continuously going. They're not going to blink, they're not going to flash, they're not going to do anything like that. It's just that I think that the city has said in the past that we did not want any billboards, and in particular, any lighted billboards. So I told them that I would bring it up to the meeting, I would talk about it, I would let them know that had I been, I am opposed to it. I would have hoped that my colleagues would have wanted to be opposed to it. I could not bring it up for reconsideration because I was not on the vote. I did not get to vote on that, so I had to have a first and a second. So I understand my colleague's position, but I have to go on record as stating that I am opposed to this, and I would like to see, if possible, that we could impose a moratorium so that in the future, other existing billboards will not be able to convert to LED lighting. So I know that we have other persons that would like to speak, so I will turn the mic over to Mr. Francis.
Thank you, Council President. Mr. Aber, right before this meeting, you and I spoke, and we talked about the very ambiguity that our Council President, to which she is referring, that really doesn't address the situation. You know, these are relatively new types of billboards we're talking about, these LED billboards, and you and I have talked about this before and have said that we've talked about putting some kind of an ordinance in place that will really put up some regulations on a myriad of different issues that need to be addressed, have we not?
We're actually working on that right now under the new comprehensive zoning ordinance.
And I mentioned to you that I thought that Councilwoman Black might like to meet with you, and I would like to meet with you as well to discuss this, and you have graciously agreed to meet with us. Councilwoman Black, I think that would be a very good first step in moving forward to make sure that, again, a lot of times we have to believe in the good, and have faith in the people that are actually putting up these billboards. If we have regulations in place, then we don't have that worry because we can address the potential problems that could arise. And again, we have no legal standing if there's no ordinance in place that that has any teeth in it. So again, I think everyone on this council agrees that we should have some ordinance in place. They have them in Jefferson Parish as well. They did that before. I spoke to Councilman Zahn this morning. They do have some in place. And working with you and other council people who might be interested as well, we can actually put something in place that would be beneficial to the city and to everyone concerned. We're not trying to hurt anyone. We want business in the city of Kenner, but we also have to make sure that we have regulations that need to be followed for the safety of the people of this area, as well as, making sure that, again, this city moves forward in the most positive fashion, especially with our 2030 plan that we have in place.
Thank you. And I know in closing, since there's no other persons wishing to address, I know in closing that when we initiated the billboard ordinance, other cities followed suit. Slidell and some other cities in the state approached us and asked us if they could copy our ordinance. So it was an effective ordinance, but with the new technologies and everything that's coming in, there's certain things that need to be changed in that ordinance. So that's why I was asking if possible, we could put something in place that would prohibit that from happening in the near future. So I will be speaking with our city attorney and to the administration in regards to that, along with our code enforcement director and our planning department, Mr. J.A. Baer, in regards to putting something in place to safeguard anything. You know, we can talk to some people, and the silent majorities, they're out there, and a lot of people that we talk to does not represent the entire area. And I know that both of the Councilman Reno and Councilman Stagney did their, as I said, did their due diligence, because they weren't going to put anything on there they didn't believe that would be beneficial to the city of Kenner. I just, in my, I hate to say wisdom, because I don't know how much wisdom it is, but from my past, I know that people do not want to see billboards in the city of Kenner as much as lit ones or LED lit ones. So I thank you for listening, and with that, I will move. You can move on, because there's no one else wishing to speak.
Yes, ma'am. Item 18 is new business, and we have none. Item 19 is unfinished business and no motions to reconsider or remove from a tabled position. Item 19A, at the request of Councilwoman Black, the reconsideration of Resolution Number B16479, a resolution approving the applications of CBS Outdoor LLC to upgrade 3 existing general advertising signs located at lots 13 and 36, Square 326, Highway Park Subdivision, Lot C, Square 149, Highway Park Subdivision, and lots 33 and 34, Square 14, Highway Park Subdivision. Madam Chairman, we've received a request to remove the item.
Okay. We don't have to vote on that removal, since it's not, do we have to vote on the actual removal? Motion by Councilwoman Black, second by Councilman DeFrancis to remove or indefinitely defer. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes
It's to remove, not indefinitely defer.
7-0. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
Yes, we have some. Mr. Larry Daigle, the Candy Man.
Larry Daigle, 4128 Tulane Drive, Kenner, 5th District. I'd like to thank Mr. Nick Infestata. Good job, well done, Mr. Infestata. And my condolences go out to you and your family. And congratulations to his son, Dominic, for winning District 5 seat. Kent, he's going to do a good job, but you was a good councilman, Jack. Got to give it to you. And we've been having a gentleman coming up here about the sidewalk, Mr. A.J. Giordano. I hope I said it right. And he's right. Down the street from my house, they got a lady in a wheelchair. Car was parked on the sidewalk. They had to go in the street, go around the car parked in the driveway, and the car almost hit the poor lady in her wheelchair. So I think he's got a good gripe about the cars parked in the middle of the sidewalks, and I don't think it's right. We need to do something about it. And Ms. Black, Ms. Karen told me to tell you she loves you.
Thank you.
And she's going to miss you, and you, her, Jerry, and I, we go back a long way, you know that.
And thank you for your kind words about my sister. Appreciate that very much.
And we want to thank you for a job well done in the city of Kenner.
I'll be around for about 2 more months.
That's what I'm fixing to say. And if you never need somebody to push in your wheelchair to come to these council meetings, call me. I'll come push you.
Hopefully, I won't be at that stage yet.
And Mr. Stagney.
I'm close.
Uncle Joe, you got my cell number. If you need me, call me. You always be a friend of mine. And the rest of y'all, Mr. Francis, I know you're going to do a good job.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Larry.
I can't leave little Michelle out. I hope y'all good luck on y'all futures. Y'all did a hell of a job. And I want to thank the man, all these people on the first 2 rows. If it wouldn't be for them, see, the Kenner wouldn't be where it's at right now. And if, like I said before, If you don't like the city of Kenner, get the hell out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daigle. Mr. Al Morello.
Al Morello, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 42 years. I got a response to some comments that was made in here at the last meeting after I exited the building. I want to direct these comments to you, Michelle Brannigan. Let me say this again. The right to vote is one of the most divine rights we have in this country. And when people don't exercise their right to vote, they're not only saying they don't care about their government, but they also don't care about those members of the armed forces who gave their life to preserve that right. And as a Vietnam veteran myself, I find your comments insulting, not only to me, but with Memorial Day right around the corner coming up, also to those members of the armed forces who gave their life to preserve that right as well. And you can count on one thing: I will always be critical of people who don't exercise their right to vote. And if you're offended by it, the only thing I can advise you to do is find your, maybe relocate to a country that don't have that right, and thus there'll be no criticism. Now, I also want to comment on, respond to some comments concerning pay raises. Now, it's a rather moot issue now because most of you people up there are going to be gone in a couple of months. So I'm going to direct this to the council members that are coming in here and this administration. I believe we're paying y'all enough money now to occupy a seat down here and take your orders from the special interests who put you in office. Anybody got any comments, any questions for me? And then closing, one more thing. Jeannie Black, I want to extend my condolences to you and your family for your loss.
Thank you.
Anybody got any comments, any questions for me? Thank you.
Mr. A.J. Giordano. This Italian knows how to pronounce your name.
A.J. Giordano, 3518 California Avenue. Like they say, last meeting, you was correct. There is a code out there for the grass over the sidewalks, and it's been found. And I thank Councilman Rayno for his assistant, Darylyn, for finding two, not just this one, but another one that was critical here. I sent an email to Co-Director Vallow about the sidewalk, disrepair and repairs and getting the owners notified. And I was told that she said the CAO said that there was a moratorium on this ordinance. I believe it may be an ordinance, a moratorium on the sidewalk program that we used to have. I don't know what's exactly went on there, but 13-52 in the ordinance specifically says that the owners are responsible for it, and there's plenty of meat in there about how to go about, a certified letter responding to them, and everything about doing it. I just want to know, my question is, why can't we go forth and notify these owners about this ordinance and start the process? I wasn't asking for the city to pay for the sidewalks. We're not, nothing's been done forward. You know what I'm saying? We got to move forward with it and notify, do the proper procedures. And, The other thing is, I'll go back to my parking on the sidewalk issue. 15-55 is plain as day, this ordinance in there. 15-57 goes to the penalty, and it says go to order, 1 through 9. Nowhere in there can I find anywhere where it says that this ordinance, that code can't enforce this ordinance, or that the police. It's not one or the other. I don't know why, and who said that the code cannot enforce this law. And I'll give you an example. 13-62, it's about parking around fire hydrants and blocking fire hydrants, anything. And it says that the enforcement will be the police or the code enforcement. So to me, it's just kind of the same thing. It's a parking issue. I don't know why or where, you show me where or why we can't have code enforcement enforce this this law that's plainly on the books, and it's been there since 1954. I just don't understand it. And I asked, it's been 10 months since my first letter to the mayor outlaying numerous issues like this. 10 months. I haven't had any satisfaction, nothing's happened. And this is the first little shining thing. I find an ordinance that I can, the code enforcement now can go forth and get people to get the grass off their sidewalks. I had to do research, and his assistant had to do research to get this going. So, just questions here. I just want to know why I can't get anything done here. I'm just beginning to wonder. And Council President Black,
Yes, sir.
you made me smile when I came in here tonight. I like that, comment about getting, maybe I'll have some money for my streets now, Maybe Councilman Reynard can, if he doesn't spend it too quickly, maybe I can get some money to spend the, Does anybody here want to comment on this? Maybe give me some kind of,
Well-
everything I brought up. I know I've thrown a lot at you, but I want to send everything out as an email out. You haven't been here, to hear
Yeah, I
what's
was
been going on,
absolutely. I just want to tell you that in my years, that on the council, that we used to have sidewalk crews that went out, and the city of Kenner does not do sidewalks. We were the only municipality in Jefferson Parish that repaired sidewalks. We used to let the people pay for the concrete, and we tried to fund it. It got astronomical. The salary, the cost for sidewalks was just so cost prohibitive now that we can't afford to just be repairing sidewalks because people plant trees, and they plant their trees between the sidewalk and the street. Well, the root system gets underneath these trees and just destroys all of the sidewalks. We were repairing some sidewalks 3 and 4 times in the space of about 15 years. So it's just really, that's all I know about is that it's just cost prohibitive, and we were the only city that did that.
I'm not asking the city to do it. I'm asking to enforce this law this ordinance 13-52 in certified letter to the owners and inform them. It states it out in there exactly that they're responsible for the sidewalk, to put in forth motion and get this going. Now, they have a right to appeal within 30 days and say, well, no, I don't believe I need a sidewalk or whatever. They can go to the zoning board and appeal it. I'm not asking the city to replace the sidewalk. I just want this 13-52 to be enforced. And I don't believe it's the codes department to have to do it. I have to read it again, but I believe it's the administration's to send it out, these certified letters out, And I'll be glad to, all these violations to send in pictures and addresses, as everyone here knows. I love taking pictures. Don't get me wrong, I don't want the city paying for nothing on this. Now, it does state in there that the city, can go back and pay for it and lien it, but let's just get it in motion first. Let's see what's going to happen. We haven't gone first base yet.
Well, I guess that would be, we'd have to talk with our city attorney and see if that is legal, because we don't need, sidewalks are city property and not property owners, or am I correct on that?
It's in 13-52 of this Code of Ordinances. It states that, it's pretty detailed, pretty meaty.
Yeah.
And it tells that the people are responsible, and it goes forth in how to, the city to advise them, notify them. If they can't find them, they put it in the newspaper for 3 times during 30 days.
Well,
And
Mr.
so on and
Grunts,
so
would you
on.
like to comment on that, or do you?
I know the ordinance is in the books, and that Jefferson Parish has a similar ordinance. And to effectively enforce it, you have to be uniform. And if you have extensive sidewalk repairs throughout the city, you can't just selectively pick one neighborhood or the other. You've got to do it citywide.
Well, exactly.
Well, and that's a major undertaking to do that.
So you're putting safety second. Am I right? This is a safety issue. I've sent pictures. Y'all seen the pictures. Mayor, you've seen the pictures how bad it is. And we're just going to ignore it? That's what I'm asking here. Everything on here. Am I wrong? Am I out of line here? Please, believe me. Tell me if I am.
I can't answer that. I don't think anybody really has a viable answer. I just hate to see you keep coming back without an answer to your question, but I don't see how you can infringe that responsibility on property owners to do that in regards to their property. Look, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just telling you what I think.
Because
And
it's
I'm
in the
getting something
ordinance.
I really don't need to be into, but I hate to see people coming back and not getting an answer. But that's what I would tell you, that it's something it's very difficult to impose that. It's like telling somebody, you know, your house is run down, you got to paint your house because your house hasn't been painted in 10 years, you know,
Right.
something like that.
You go back to this 9.5-7, this one about this, it doesn't just cover grass, it's about a lot of issues in there about people having to keep their property clean. It's under health ordinances where we found it. All these things, I mean, I just don't know, where are we going with this? Am I going to get the police or the code enforcement to get the vehicles off the sidewalks, one? Or we're going to get the sidewalks where people can traverse them now safely? I mean, I'm going to send you a picture, Councilman Black, all right, some of the sidewalks, and most of these people, you have seen them. It's deplorable. There's no way you can traverse it. And I just want to, and it's on the code right here that the people are responsible to do it. It's just sending first off, you send a certified letter. Get the ball rolling and send a certified letter like it says in the ordinance is what the administration is supposed to do.
Let's see.
I mean, I'm going to send you all emails of each ordinance here, and and somebody just give me a response back here. I mean, are we just going to bury our heads and forget about this? Take a ride through my neighborhood and see what I'm talking about. Everybody else has seen it. They know. I don't know. I mean,
Well, we appreciate you coming, and we'll talk with the mayor. I'm sure there's nothing more this whole council would like to do but to satisfy you and tell you, yeah, it's going to be done. But we're realistic, and we want to make sure that you know that sometimes being right is not always.
am I being realistic in asking either code or police to enforce the law to get the cars off the sidewalk? You know?
Okay, thank you very much. I think that's all that we have listed here, but I see somebody walking up that does this all the time. Mr. Richard Brown, you have 3 minutes.
Richard Brown, 824 Sessions Lane, Kenner, and Madam Chairman, when you weren't here last week, I was signed up on the list.
Well, I'm talking about this week.
There we go. I want to follow up on the comments that the gentleman ahead of me was addressing. This is something that's been going on. It's also a pet peeve of mine. And I guess I've got 2 questions, and I'm going to direct these, I think, to my own council person, Maria DeFrancis. Mrs. DeFrancis, can I get a commitment from you to ask the city attorney for an opinion on 2 issues? Issue number 1, which department is responsible for enforcing the law against parking cars on sidewalks? Is it the police department or is it code enforcement? The second issue is the statute that this gentleman was referring to, which requires the landowners to maintain the sidewalks, is that statute valid or not? Can I get a commitment that we will ask the city attorney for an opinion on those 2 issues? And if he doesn't know, let's request an attorney general's opinion. Can Mr. Francis respond?
Would you like me to speak? First of all, I have no problem when I have a question from a constituent to pass it on to the appropriate person. You know that, Mr. Brown, because you've called my office before and you know I've done it. Let me just address a couple of very quick points. Number 1, we have used the ordinance that we spoke about that I mentioned to Mr. Giordano the last time about the grass overgrowing the sidewalk. Remember I told you that it was on the books? We've used it and used it to enforce it in my district. Most of the homeowners do not allow the grass to cover their sidewalk. Unfortunately, there were a few people where that was the problem. Code was able to address it. They went to those addresses. It was dangerous for the children when they were walking, for elderly, for handicapped people. They addressed it through code enforcement because that law does exist on the books, and it was used to get those people to trim, to edge their property. So I wanted to put that into, to you, that was used through code enforcement. I have personally used the police department, although I will get an opinion as you requested. I have personally used the police department, and they have been extremely cooperative when we have people parking and blocking sidewalks. Though, that's the way I've done it. I've had problems occasionally in my district. One was a major problem with a big RV and people from out of town that were contractors that were renting a house, and they really didn't care how they impacted the neighborhood. And then the next time, when the police made them move that, and they had plenty of room where they could have parked it legally, they chose not to, just to be negative, just to harass the neighborhood. They put a boat and did the same thing. Again, we called the police out there, and the police responded and addressed it. I'm simply telling you how I addressed it, but I will be more than happy to have our city attorney give us an answer to those questions.
I appreciate it. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, hearing no other discussion, I proclaim this meeting, oh, excuse me, Councilwoman Brannigan, I didn't see your light, dear.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Just one quick thing. Ms. Morella, when I disagree with you, I'm not offended by what you say. So being in disagreement with somebody doesn't mean that you're offended by them in any way. And you cannot speak on behalf of all veterans. You can speak on behalf of yourself, because many veterans fought to give people the right to do whatever they wanted and exercise their freedom the way they choose to. Some people exercise their freedom by showing up to vote. Other people exercise their freedom by not voting. It doesn't mean that they're right or wrong. It means that somebody fought to give them the right to do whatever they seem fit. Some people believe they have the right to say certain things. Other people believe that you don't have the right to say things. It doesn't matter who's right or who's wrong. It's that every veteran fought to give everyone the right, but the veterans don't choose which rights they exercise. And that's the most giving thing that was done for us, is that somebody can give of themselves and put their life on the line for people they don't even agree with. There's a lot of people who do protest against things, and there are veterans who stand there and say, I fought to give them the right to do it, and they're offended by what they're protesting, but they fought to give them the right to do it. So I'm not offended at all by what you say. I just disagree with you. So,
Thank you.
I'm a voter.
Mayor Yenny, you have the floor.
Being another voter here, proud voter, and also an officer in the United States Navy, I can assure you that Mr. Morella will never speak for me, and I totally agree with what Ms. Brannigan's saying. We do put our lives on the line to give the people the right to vote or not to vote. End of story, case closed, as a proud serving member right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Lieutenant. Meeting is adjourned.